Hi there, my name is Reverend Shawn Verhey. I'm the Managing Chaplain at HMP YOI Thorn Cross, and we're here in the Task Jesus studio today with Lynn Connolly. And Lynn has a phenomenal new book called Son of a Preacher Man that she has written with her husband Mick regarding the tragic killing of her son Paul and how Lynn was able to forgive the two young men that took Paul's life. Now, really, I'd like to make a plea to any governing governor or managing chaplain who is serious about having restorative culture, who is serious about engaging with restorative justice, because I know Lynn and Mick mainly through the SYCAMORE TREE Restorative Justice Victim Awareness course. And Lynn, I'd like to ask you a question. In terms of your experience, because I know you've been in a number of prisons in the north of England, throughout the UK, really, but let me just ask you, what are your thoughts about how you bring something new and exciting to prisoners in the prisons that you visit in terms of helping them to engage with restorative justice and victim awareness?
Well, I think especially with any educational things, you know, there are videos, DVDs, and there's lots of things on a course. But I think for a victim of crime to come in and to share a real story with them, and to meet offenders, it's a powerful meeting when you get a victim of crime and an offender together, because there are things that we don't understand about each other, and it's an opportunity to be able to talk about those things. There's a lot of honesty that goes on, a lot of openness. And I think because I always feel very vulnerable there in front of them, and I appear like their mum maybe at times, it's just very, very real. And it comes across that way as well, you know, not professional in any way, but there's something startling about getting a victim and offender together. And they're brilliant. They just listen. I was shocked how they listened. And it was life-changing for both sides, for me as well.
That's amazing. Yeah. And, you know, I'm so blessed to have known Lynn and Mick for about 11 years at Thorn Cross, coming in and hearing week 3 with Sycamore Tree, Restorative Justice Victim Awareness course, is a victim impact session. And many of our guys, the toughest prisoners, are in floods of tears, literally. And Lynn, I wanted to ask you, what are some of the most frequently asked questions when prisoners want to speak with you at the end of one of these presentations? How did they come across?
Always very respectful. Always, you know, for the last 16 years, it's been that same response. But the thing that they most want to talk about, and they say, how could you forgive? That's a big thing. And so we share our story, how we decided, we made that decision to forgive, and how it's helped us. And you can see how they're almost trapped sometimes in unforgiveness and anger and all of those destructive things. And so we go through our story and share how they can come through what they're going through as well. And we just bring some principles that we use, and we tackle things like drug and alcohol abuse. A lot of them have those addictions, and so we're able to talk about those issues together, and we share how forgiveness is actually able to help them to move on with their lives.
Wow, that's amazing. It's really crucial that Lynn's just mentioned addressing drug and alcohol abuse, because these are some of the main triggers for offending behavior. And I can recall a few years ago, we were running Sycamore at Thorn Cross, and just before the course really officially began, there was a young man speaking with our Mick. And this guy was living knee-deep in that river in Egypt, you know, knee-deep in denial. You've met people like that, I'm sure. And this young man had been selling drugs, and he was saying what a waste of time, and this, I've got no victims. And we've heard this before from people who won't engage and take responsibility, which is at the core of Sycamore Tree and restorative justice. And Mick, to his credit, let this young man go on. And then finally, when you got up, Lynn, and you spoke about the fact that the two young men that took Paul's life in an unprovoked attack had been taking drugs and alcohol all day. This young man, who had been so opposed, broke down in tears. He was really impacted by this. And that's something only a victim of such a horrible crime and someone who's triumphed over that suffering through the journey into forgiveness and restoration. That's the gift that makes such a difference for people in prison, I think. Well, I'd just like to ask you another question about your role. What would you see as your role is within the Sycamore Tree? And would you recommend the Sycamore Tree Restorative Justice Victim Awareness course to perhaps a governor or managing chaplain that have never heard about Sycamore?
Oh, absolutely. We've got nothing to compare it with. Sycamore Tree is the only one we've ever been on. But restorative justice is the way forward, I think. And it's been amazing for us because we had no voice before that. But the restorative justice has now given victims a voice. And we're thankful for all the governors and all the chaplains who enable us to go in and to share our story, because there are things that we needed to say, important things, I think, for people to hear. And it's just given us that voice, which has been so important. And, you know, we just are so grateful, really, for that opportunity.
God bless you, Lynn. Well, we just about run out of time, but once again, please, if you're a governor or managing chaplain, please do get a hold of a copy of this amazing book, Son of a Preacher Man. It's a story of faith, of healing, of bereavement, but of course of forgiveness, that journey into forgiveness that every offender really needs to set out on. So I'd highly recommend that to you. And thank you very much for your time. Once again, thank you for Lynn Connolly. I'm Reverend Shawn Verhey from Thorn Cross saying, God bless you. I hope and pray that you change your prison into a place that is a center for restorative justice. I hope and pray Sycamore is at the heart of that. And that in turn will create a restorative culture. And that in turn will see lives changed and fewer prisoners reoffending. Thank you very much. God bless you. And I hope you have a blessed day.